Title suggestion. Why your best plans fail. According to the 3,000-year-old I Ching **, the most powerful decision-making tool in human history isn't a spreadsheet, a market forecast, or a sophisticated AI algorithm. It is a pile of 50 yarrow stalks used by emperors for 3 millennia to predict the unavoidable collapse of their own success. You are currently making a choice in your career, your relationships, or your long-term strategy based on the assumption that tomorrow will look like today. The I Ching, the Book of Changes, suggests that this assumption is the precise reason you will fail. In 1000 BC, King Wen of the Zhou dynasty sat in a damp prison cell, facing execution. Most men would have prayed for escape or plotted revenge. Instead, he mapped the fundamental patterns of the universe into 64 hexagrams, realizing a truth that Silicon Valley and Wall Street are only now beginning to rediscover. Nothing is static. Stability is an illusion, and the only way to master the future is to understand the seed of change that exists within the present moment. If you believe you can win without understanding the cycle of the abysmal, you are not strategizing. You are gambling. To understand the I Ching, we must step back to the transition from the Shang to the Zhou dynasty, roughly 3,000 years ago. This was a time of brutal ritual, warring states, and a worldview dominated by the whims of capricious gods. But King Wen, and later his son, the Duke of Zhou, looked deeper. They saw that nature didn't move by whim, but by rhythm. The seasons, the tide, the wax and wane of the moon. They realized that human affairs follow these same invisible tracks. This isn't just ancient history. This is the blueprint for systemic change. Think about the company Nokia. In 2007, they owned 40% of the global mobile market. They were the creative, the pinnacle of success. Yet, the seed of their destruction, the iPhone, was already being sown in a garage in California. Nokia failed because they read the book of now, while Steve Jobs was reading the book of what is about to become. The I Ching is the manual for that transition. It's the oracle's wisdom not because it tells you the future, but because it tells you which season you are currently in. Are you in the spring of growth or the winter of consolidation? Most leaders fail because they try to plant seeds in the snow and harvest in a drought. Let us look into the first of our core teachings from the text itself. Hexagram 1. I Ching. The creative. The text reads, "Dragon lying hid." It is not the time for active doing. This is perhaps the most difficult lesson for the modern achiever. We are told to hustle, to grind, to make things happen every hour of every day. But the I Ching tells us that power begins in the shadows. Dragon lying hid means you have the potential, you have the fire, but the environment is not yet ready for your flame. If you strike too early, you burn out. If you reveal your strategy before it is mature, you invite the winds of opposition to blow it out before it takes hold. Look at Apple's entry into the Vision Pro or headset market. They didn't jump in when Google Glass failed. They didn't rush when Oculus was young. They remained a hidden dragon for a decade, refining, waiting, and watching. The actionable principle is this: confusion often stems from acting before the environment has prepared a place for your action. Ask yourself, are you pushing against a closed door, or are you waiting for the hinges to turn? Did you know that Carl Jung, the father of modern analytical psychology, wrote a massive introduction to the I Ching, claiming it was the key to understanding synchronicity? He believed there was no such thing as a coincidence. There are only patterns we are too blind to see. This brings us to Hexagram 29. KN. The abysmal. The quote is stark. If you are sincere, you have in your heart success, and whatever you do succeeds. This hexagram represents water flowing through a narrow, dangerous gorge. Water doesn't stop because the path is difficult. It doesn't complain about the rocks. It fills every hole, it levels every dip, and it keeps moving because its nature is to flow. In the modern world, the abysmal is a crisis, a market crash, a PR disaster, a personal failure. Most people freeze in the gorge. They become stagnant. But the I Ching says that sincerity, being true to your core purpose, is what allows you to flow through the danger. Look at SpaceX in 2008. They had 3 failed launches. They were in the deepest part of the gorge. They were broke. But Elon Musk didn't change the goal. He didn't pivot to a safer industry. He remained sincere to the mission of Mars, and because he filled the holes of failure with the water of persistence, the 4th launch succeeded. The actionable principle: in times of danger, do not look for an exit. Look for the way to flow through. Think about the last time you felt safe in your career. That was the moment your greatest risk was born. We move now to the most sobering part of the oracle's wisdom, Hexagram 12. P. Stagnation. The text says, "The small departs, the great approaches." This sounds positive, but in the context of stagnation, it describes the moment when inferior people or ideas begin to crowd out the superior ones. It is the rot that happens from within. When a company becomes too successful, it stops taking risks. It hires middle managers who care more about their bonuses than the product. The great energy of innovation departs, and the small energy of bureaucracy approaches. The I Ching warns that during a period of stagnation, the wise person draws back into his own virtues. You cannot fix a rotting system from the inside if the system doesn't want to be fixed. Look at the decline of Sears or Blockbuster. They weren't killed by competitors. They were killed by the small departing the great. They became stagnant because they refused to acknowledge that their season of growth had ended. The actionable principle: when you find yourself in a system that no longer values excellence, stop trying to save the system and start preserving your own integrity for the next cycle. Most people think the I Ching is about fortune-telling. It's actually about character building. It doesn't tell you what will happen. It tells you who you need to be so that it doesn't matter what happens. This brings us to Hexagram 48. Ching. The well. The quote: "The town may be changed, but the well cannot be changed." In ancient China, a village might be destroyed in a war. The houses might be burned. The people might flee. But the well, the source of life, remained. In our modern, hyperconnected, volatile world, what is your well? Is it your skill set? Is it your reputation? Is it your inner peace? If your success is built on a specific platform like YouTube, or a specific company, or a specific trend, then your town can be changed, and you will be left thirsty. But if your success is built on deep, fundamental principles, the ability to think critically, the ability to lead, the ability to learn, then you have a well. Jeff Bezos famously built Amazon not on what would change, but on what wouldn't change. People will always want lower prices. They will always want faster shipping. That is his well. The actionable principle: Stop chasing the town of fleeting trends and start digging the well of permanent value. We have walked through the cycles of the dragon, the gorge, the stagnation, and the well. But the oracle's wisdom is useless if it remains in a book. You must apply it this week. Here are 3 concrete actions for you to take. First, identify your hidden dragon. Look at your current projects. Which one are you trying to force into the world before it is ready? Stop. Withdraw it. Spend this week in silent refinement. If you are shouting to be heard, you are not yet the dragon. Work in secret until the environment demands your presence. Name the specific project you will pause today. Second, conduct a stagnation audit. Look at your daily habits and your professional circle. Is the small departing the great? Are you spending more time talking about success than achieving it? Are you surrounding yourself with people who agree with you rather than people who challenge you? This week, cut one small obligation or one small relationship that is draining your great energy. Third, test your well. If your primary source of income or identity disappeared tomorrow, what would be left? This week, spend 2 hours learning a skill or deepening a principle that has nothing to do with your current job and everything to do with your long-term character. Dig your well deeper before you get thirsty. We began with a single sentence written in a prison cell 3,000 years ago. King Wen knew that his prison was temporary, because he knew that everything is temporary. He didn't survive because he was stronger than his captors. He survived because he understood the rhythm of the universe better than they did. You are currently in a hexagram. You are either rising, falling, flowing, or waiting. If you ignore the season you are in, you are destined to be crushed by it. But if you align yourself with the change, you become the master of it. The I Ching doesn't promise a life without storms. It promises that if you understand the storm, you can use its wind to reach the shore. Success is not a destination. It is the ability to move from one hexagram to the next without losing your sincerity. In our next episode, we will look at the art of war not as a guide for battle, but as a guide for peace. If you wish to understand the patterns before they understand you, the link to the oracle's full commentaries is below. Do not wait for the world to change. Become the change. Remember, the town may be changed, but the well remains.